Hello, everyone. This is Marita, one who catches lightning, with the Path of Ish podcast, Walking with Our Shadow, where we share ancient indigenous teachings of remembrance, all so we can walk and learn how to walk a path of radical self-love. Welcome, everyone. It's Marita, one who catches lightning with the Path of Ish. Here with another opportunity to share with you, to be in circleness. And so before we jump in, let us acknowledge the keepers of the direction in whatever tradition that you come from and how they hold the circle for us and have since the beginning of time. And so we greet and thank what we call the East. We greet and thank what we call the West. We greet and thank what we call the North. And we greet and thank what we call the South. There are many words for the directions. There are different elements associated with them. And so sometimes these directions are called by an elemental name, by that which is a fabric of our creation. So as we ask these keepers, these points of the circle to hold us, we gather ourselves together as we take our 3 breaths, allowing ourselves to be welcomed first with ourselves and then with circle. And so we take this breath in and out through the nose, bringing the mind into this time and place. In and out through the nose. Bringing our bodies into this time and place. In and out through the nose, bringing our essence into this time and place. And we do so knowing not one is greater or more valuable or more intelligent than the other. They just are. And however they're showing up today, it is enough. So as we greet circleness, as we ask to step in, we pause. We gather our breath, ourselves, all that we are, and allow that circle to welcome us in. We are, as they say, on holy ground. And as you allow yourself to come in, I'd love to continue a conversation that I've been having with some of my students for a month. The conversation that I had this morning with my official students was a circle class where we sat in and gathered, as we gather every month, to learn about circle. And trust me, you can learn about circle for the rest of your life and never get to the end of it. The other conversation, though, that I really want to introduce you to is a conversation of building sacred relationships. And we have been doing so in a class I'm teaching. And we have been sitting with the energy of the animal kingdom. We've asked the animal kingdom to be part of this class. It is in their honor. It's literally an invitation to be in circleness with them. And in this class, we teach a way of approaching nature that I have been taught and that I have observed is very similar to many First Nations. And the root of it is not the assumption that you know. That is not part of the relationship that we enter in these classes, in this circle. There are no assumptions made. Do we Google? Yeah, sure, we Google a few things here and there. But we even Google for information in a different way, in a different approach, even to Google. Not to grasp, not to look up mythos of animals and their spirits, but to approach, to sit with and observe the habitat, the environment, the way that different animals in the animal kingdom live. And the reason that we do that is we go in knowing that we do not know what we do not know, and knowing that the knowledge that we are seeking is not in books, but instead in building relationship. There's a library in Europe. I'm not sure if it's in Denmark or I'm not sure, but that's where in my head I can place it, where you can check people out, supposedly, instead of books. And what that means is you get to sit down and speak to someone, and they will tell you their life story. And again, I'm not sure where it is in Europe. I think it's in Denmark. I'm not sure. So maybe we can Google it later. Sitting in circleness is about that, about sitting with the knowledge that you can't read. Every interaction you have on this planet with any being, whether it's an ant, the wind, a horse, a human, a tree, a blade of grass, each one is different. Each one is unique. For you are sovereign, and in your sovereignty, you are changing, growing, and evolving. And so is that blade of grass. Now you might ask me, Marita, how is a blade of grass evolving? It is. It is here to grow and evolve at the capacity that it can have and live its life to the best of its ability, that expression, to fulfill what it is here to do, which is to grow and adapt. To grow and to adapt. Well, if even grass can grow and adapt, so can we. And it is that journey of adaptation that we sit with each other and learn from each other. In this class, we sit with different relationships. And the first relationship we are sitting with that came in to teach us because we posed a question. And a relationship in the animal kingdom answered that question to teach us. And so we posed the question of how, and it's a big question, which I was talking to Rose about. She's like, you can literally sit with this question for more than a year and do a whole class on it. And I said, maybe later on. But for this class, let us dip our toe into the question of how to heal the mother wound. How to heal nurturance, that wound of being nurtured, whether it's a father wound or a mother wound. And so the animal kingdom that came in and is teaching us and has been teaching us and has taught me a lot for a long, long time is the back kingdom. Now you might ask, Marita, why are you asking bats about a mother wound? They can't talk to you. They can't, well, if you talk bat, they do talk to you. But the reason that we take this question to them is that we observe how they are in their relationship to nurturing. as a community and as individuals and as mothers. And if you Google "are bats good mothers?" it will say, yes, they are exceptional mothers. They adapt, even physically, they are adapted to be mothers, because the bat kingdom, one of the things that it teaches you is you cannot hold on to anything, right? You got your weight you got to fly around with. You really can't hold on to things because you have to carry your weight. And of all the things that fly that have to carry their weight, the bat kingdom of all of them teaches us to let go. So if you are a mother and you are going to have a child, you can't let go of your child. So the mothers are known to be stronger. They have stronger bodies about them and their wings to be able to carry the weight of the child. They have adapted to carry out one of their chosen ways of being and expressing creativity in the world. They're ready for it. And the community is ready for it. And the community also does some amazing things to support the mothers, to make sure that they can go off and feed and get the food that they need, and they'll watch their pup for them. And there's so many things. I'm not going to go into it completely. You could take the class of how bats as a community and as individuals give us a different example of nurturing. Add to it the lesson of not holding on. Bats provide for us an experience and expression of how to let go of trauma and anxiety and depression in a way that you're not cutting yourself off completely. You're not denying this. You're not stuffing it down. You choose for it to not be a part of you in a way where you can carry yourself with your truth. Let me give you an example, which I gave my students. And I said, it's really interesting. And it was Batman Day when I came to this realization. I got an email from HBO and saying, hey, it's Batman Day. I was like, oh, wow, it's cool. How appropriate. And I started thinking about the mythos of Batman and the mythos of Batman that was constructed by human beings with imagination. And they build the whole story around the trauma of the parental wound. The mother and the father are lost, they're killed, right? I mean, talk about wounding there. Talk about perfect for this class and perfect for the circle. And then out of that trauma, this billionaire emerges who has access to all of these toys, right? And things like that, and technology, and enough money to be able to have access to everything and do whatever they want and to heal in their own way. And the way that they quote unquote heal is to carry revenge. So here's a mythos created by humans about how you can carry revenge through your life and be a superhero and be a bat, right? And the only connection with bat is that he's in a bat cave, and there's other things like that. And I know people will correct me, but I'm big picture here, okay? When you go into a circle where it's not humans appropriating or adding their stories to an animal kingdom that doesn't function like humans, what you have is a different answer to this mother wound. In other words, bats teach us to allow ourselves to fly lighter by not carrying on all of our tragedies. And more importantly, revenge. Revenge is heavy. If Batman had truly been in relationship with bats, they would have learned that lesson to not carry revenge, because you're carrying not just revenge, but you're carrying the lives of two people. So now you're carrying yourself, revenge, anger, trauma, and then the lives of two people that you are seeking revenge for. That's a lot to carry. This is not dissing on Batman. I enjoy, superhero stories, but where are your superheroes or your mythology coming from? Is it mythology that is human-centric? Or is it mythology that truly actually incorporates how other kingdoms function? And are you giving back of that franchise of multiple bajillions amounts of money? Has anyone given money back to saving bats, to bat sanctuaries? Bats are really, really important. And yet we've created a mythos of being afraid of bats. But bats are amazing. They're pollinators. They help with insects. They're a vital part of the environment. Yet humans have created so many stories around them to sell their story. Whether it's on a large screen and that mythos of the Batman, or whether it's around this time of the year where we find ourselves near Halloween and using them to scare people, and people then taking revenge out on bats. If we took time to not impose our stories, what we are expecting, our cognitive bias upon other kingdoms, we could learn so much. We could learn how to heal. We could learn how there are different examples of relationships. And if you don't have a human relationship around you, because we're all walking around with wounds, that can exemplify for you something, a way of being where the mother wound isn't there, then you go and you sit with that person, with that being, with that kingdom, and you ask for help. We learn from experience. We experience life, and life is our lesson. Yet we consistently bring our human ways into life, and they get in the way of a larger sacred relationship that is possible with all of the world. And this world is a natural world, a natural way of being. Let me recenter here. Now, not every mother in the animal kingdom has the same environment and capacity as bats, right? And they mother differently. There is this thing going around the internet saying that quokkas toss their babies at predators so that they can escape. And if you kind of take time to dig in, they don't exactly do that. But they are not bats. It says that the quokka's pouch is an anti-predatory characteristic. While they're not tossing their young at predators, they do share that they release their young is an anti-predator characteristic. And so when they release their young from the pouches, the joeys drop out, the young lay writhing and hissing on the ground, attracting the predator's attention while the mother escapes. Well, this makes evolutionary sense because the mom is proven as a breeder, whereas the young child could be infertile. So that is a different way to approach the mother wound. Not one is greater than the other. All of it is based on communities adapting, animals adapting. And some adapt in some ways, and others and in a different way. So by building sacred relationship, we can go to the Quokkas, we can go to the bat and sit with, what does survival mean? How do I survive this experience of motherhood? Or how do I survive the experience of being a child that had a Quokka, quote unquote, as a mother? You could sit with Quokkas, approach in a good way, and ask the same question, and they will have a different response. You can sit with ravens with the same question, and they will have a different response. You can sit with lemur, with puma, with whales, with elephants, and ask a question. Don't look up the mythology of a people. Look to the kingdom itself of how they are living their lessons of survival and thriving. So, since it seems we now have Quokka in the circle, we will do a small meditation to sit with bat and sit with Quokka. What seems to us two extremes of what we would consider mothering is. Yet each are doing it in their own way for the survival of themselves and the species. And so just take a moment and take your 3 breaths. Take some extra if some of this is stirring things up. And just allow yourself to humbly approach this animal kingdom. As we present in this circle, the conversation, the question of what and where in my body am I hanging on to? The stories of who I should be as a mother, who I haven't been as a mother, the mother I didn't have, the mother that I did have, all of that. Mothering, being mothered, being smothered. And can we ask the Bat Kingdom with gratitude, thanks, and thanksgiving as we approach in a good way? And there's a much more formal way of doing it that I teach in classes. And we'll just pause here. We'll count on my relationships here with these kingdoms to be that ambassador. As we approach the Bat Kingdom, as we approach the Quokkas, formally introducing who we are and asking. Allow these kingdoms in their own time, in their own space, in their own way, to communicate with you. Whether this is through imagery or not, sometimes it's just, can they witness you in your mother story? Your mothering, your smothering story, the mother wound you carry, the expectation of human society that we continue to create and build for mothers based on culture. And we are in a time right now that we've been in for a very long time. We're not all mothers, quote unquote, or people who could be mothers, have a right to decide what is the best for them. Sometimes whole cultures, whole nations have mother wounds. The mother wounds aren't solved by someone telling you what you should do or imposing upon you their belief structure, their stories of what they think mothers should be, especially if they do not have a society that supports. Bats have an amazing societal structure that supports nurturing. Maybe we can learn something from the bats. But if you don't have a family and a support system and feel more like the Quokka, then you go there and you sit with Quokka. And if you're somewhere in between, you sit with both kingdoms. And part of the lesson is to witness them in their decisions and their evolution and their life, and let them witness you in yours. It is reciprocal. So you can come with your stories and lay them down. Not carry them like the bat, or toss them out like the Quokka does. What are the stories that we are continuing to mother that are actually smothering us? That we are continuing to give life to that are causing us harm? And can we today maybe ask these kingdoms to support us and to help us as we heal, we grow, we change and evolve as human beings, as families, as cities, as states, as nations, as culture. Change begins with you. And that is all that you are truly responsible for. And if you can start here and bring your energy back, this is not about being self-centered, taking accountability instead of caring about what other people are doing. When you're caring, sometimes you are carrying. When you're caring what other people are doing, you're caring what people think about you, you are carrying that. What can you let go of now? Whether you want to fling it like the Quokka or just not have the developed strength to carry it like the bat. In these final moments, as we connect to all of our parts, as we continue breathing in, knowing that we are part of the whole, and give gratitude and thanks to Quokka, to Bat, to all of the kingdoms here in the animal kingdom, the mineral kingdom, the plant kingdom, and all the kingdoms in creation on this planet, in this time, in this space, that we are here being witnessed and witnessing as all beings, including planets, including suns and moons, in their own way, are learning their lesson of evolution and change to be uniquely and completely themselves. With that, we thank all of the guardians of all the directions, of all the people that are sitting here with us around the world. We thank the East, the West, the South, and the North. those guardians above, below, and on this plane. And we thank Circle for holding us. And with that, we bow to each other and we bow to Circle. Shade. I hope that this week you might be able to witness and be witnessed as you approach the animal kingdom, not carrying stories or mythos about them, but actually getting to learn from them. And in so putting down those stories about them, you can lay down your own stories and allow yourself the ability to be the true bat person you are. Shade. Once again, it is with deepest gratitude that I bow to you for joining me on this podcast, this episode, this circle, this plática, this meditation, this remembering. I hope that you have stayed curious. I hope to see you in the circle again next week. So make sure that you like or follow. Until then, may you be blessed with abundance of peace and radical self-love.